Nobody's perfect, but what if your credit could be? It's a very lofty goal. In fact, only about 1% of the population has perfect credit, meaning a FICO score of 850 on Fair Isaac's scale of 300 to 850. But even if your mission isn't to reach that perfect score, having the knowledge of how to achieve it can help you boost your credit no matter how low or high it is. So here to help us make better credit decisions and perhaps even grab that goal of a perfect credit score, I'm joined by Lynette Calvani-Cox, columnist with WalletPop.com and author of Perfect Credit, 7 Steps to a Great Credit Rating. Hi, Lynette. Great to see you again.
Good to be back.
So does that surprise you that only 1% of the population has a perfect credit score?
No, it doesn't. You know, literally, I only know one person who I've ever seen that actually has that 850. And it was an older gentleman who was, you know, well retired and had managed his credit well for decades and decades. Most bankers and lenders, financial experts will tell you they've never even seen an 850. But I do teach people how to get into the perfect score range, which is anything above 760. 760 to 850, you're in the perfect credit score range.
Because let's face it, it is a little bit of a game. I mean, there's a little bit of manipulation that goes on because we know people, for instance, who may be incredibly wealthy, independently wealthy, never had a job, never had a credit card, yet could pay any bill that came their way, but have no credit score.
Bad credit. No credit score or bad credit. Remember, there was a story about Warren Buffett, of all people, who, you know, billionaire investor, who had horrible credit.
There you go.
So yeah, there are some tricks and tools, and we're going to talk about some of that.
Got to know how to play the game.
How to play the game. How to navigate the system.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So the first thing is, you say that, you know, looking at all these people with perfect credit, not so many of them, but they had between 4 to 6 revolving credit accounts. That's kind of surprising.
That's correct. See, a lot of people think, I won't have any credit cards, I won't use credit cards, or I only have 1 or 2. FICO has something that they call FICO high achievers, the people who have really great credit scores, again, 760 and above to 850. The revolving credit score or revolving credit accounts refer to your credit card accounts. You can have other types of accounts, of course, mortgage accounts, student loan accounts, etc. But the one that's most closely looked at that can make your score go up or down are those revolving accounts. And so people who have really high credit scores tend to have credit cards, use them, they charge responsibly, and then they pay the credit cards off each
so they manage them well.
That's right. So they're constantly showing the system that I can juggle multiple forms of credit, including credit cards, and I can manage all my bills and pay them on time.
Another thing they all had in common is they had one installment trade line in good standing.
That's right. An installment loan is something like a car loan or a student loan, something that you have a fixed amount that you pay off every single month. That's different than a credit card because remember, a credit card, your balance can go up or down based on whether or not you charge more. Your payments, they really don't know how much your payments are going to, what you're going to make. You might pay the minimum payment, you might pay half of the amount due, you might pay the balance in full. But an installment loan, something like a car loan, for example, is fixed every single day of the month. You're going to pay on the 15th. And let's say you have a Toyota a car, for example, you're going to pay it the 15th of the month and you have a $300 payment that's due. They know what to expect and they can calculate your payment system a lot more readily than they can with credit cards.
Now, they also have a few accounts that have been around for a while, some as long as 20, 30 years.
That's right.
With a history of good use.
Right, which is why it's very difficult for younger people in their 20s and 30s, even early 40s, to get to that elusive 850 or that 760 and higher. These people have been managing credit well for many, many years, often 2 decades or more. So just keep that in mind when you're striving for that perfect score.
And key again is no late payments. These people have had no late payments for up to 7 years.
Or more. Some people never, ever had a late payment. I'm in the perfect credit score range right now. I'm very happy about that. And I'm religious about it practically in terms of I never pay any bills late. This is the single largest determinant of your credit score. 35% of your FICO credit score is based on your payment track record. So anybody out there who's trying to get a great credit rating, the best thing you can do for yourself is pay all your bills on time, and I mean every single one of them.
And again, these folks have also had very few credit inquiries. It's impossible to have none because, I mean, then you wouldn't have a credit history.
Right. But you know what? Even this, again, knowing the game, knowing how to play the system a little bit here, an inquiry is called a hard pull. That's when you actually apply for credit. So the inquiry stays on your credit report for 2 years. it counts against you for the purposes of determining your FICO credit score for 1 year. So if you applied for credit, a car loan, a mortgage, a student loan 5 years ago, that inquiry is gone, and it's not hurting you in any way. You know, we talk about this a lot on Wallet Pop, about managing your credit and doing the right things, especially now during the holiday season. Black Friday is coming up, and we know a lot of people are going to be shopping. My advice, if you want to maintain great credit, when those nice ladies in the store say, "Here, do you want this credit card?"
Say no.
Just say no. A single inquiry, believe it or not, can lower your credit score by as much as 35 points.
Right.
So you only want to apply for credit when you really and truly need it.
Now, these folks with perfect credit also don't have any derogatory notations. Give us an example of what a derogatory notation might be.
Any kind of status listing on your account that reflects that you didn't pay your bills as agreed, settled, charged, was in collections, even if it's something that's paid right now but was 60 days past due. A lot of people get confused about the credit scoring system. They think, I paid the bill, I know I was late before, but now I've settled up. You know, that was 3 years ago. Unfortunately, negative information can legally stay on your credit report for up to 7 years. If it's something more severe like bankruptcy, that can stay on your credit report for 10 years. So you need to be mindful of that.
And these folks don't ever max out their credit cards.
Oh, absolutely not.
They only use a very small percentage of the credit they're allocated.
That's correct. It's called your credit utilization rate. And here's what it means simply. That's a mouthful, but it just means the amount of credit card debt that you've charged versus the amount of credit card access that you have available.
It shouldn't be more than 35%, is that right?
I tell people 25 to 30%, stay in that zone. Let's say you pay off your credit cards in full every single month. You might think you have a 0% credit utilization rate, but not necessarily. It depends on when somebody pulls your credit report, because you could have made a payment, but maybe it hasn't been updated with the credit bureaus just yet.
Keep that in mind.
Keep those balances low. That's the second biggest determinant of your credit score. 30% of your score is based on how much credit card debt you've charged.
The big one right there. Lynette,
That's right.